From the heart of the Space City to the heart of Gen Z, welcome to Next Gen Conversation. Not Dad's Talk Radio. Ethan talks to you about the issues and events that matter to our generation. This is the Next Gen Report with Ethan Buchanan.
Hey, good Wednesday morning. Or if you're listening to this later, good whatever day it is. Wow, what a lot to get to. The shutdown looks like it's probably ending. It'll probably be over by the end of today, by the end of Wednesday. The Senate appears to have reached an agreement, past that agreement. So that agreement now has to head back to the House. We'll talk about all of that here in a little bit. Before we get to all of that, we also had some major stuff at a TPUSA event. Another very violent showing from ANTIFA and their affiliate organizations, which we're supposed to pretend doesn't exist. It's just anti-fascist guys. Anyone who slightly opposes fascism, well, that's Antifa. Shut up. Before we get to all of that, let's talk a little bit more about Kamala Harris. She's still on this tour for her book. She did a book called 107 Days about her disastrous, ridiculous campaign. And boy, is it yielding some just fun stuff. Take a listen to this clip. I don't know what podcast she's on, but here she is making the claim that no, actually, she was actually ahead of Trump the whole time. She saw what he was doing a mile away. She was playing 3D chess. She knew what was going on the whole time. I'm not kidding. Here she is actually saying that. Take a listen.
I was aware of my opponent's strategy, and I wasn't about to fall prey or fall into those traps. And part of his strategy and those around him was to try and take me off our game and message. And I wasn't about to be distracted by those flames that he was trying to throw to get me away from my highest priority, which was talking to people about the economy and their well-being in terms of their financial well-being. And so I understood the game that was being played, and I made a decision that I wasn't going to get played. And
they're laughing at her because it's freaking stupid what she just said.
Got it.
Chess, not checkers.
yeah, three-dimensional chess, I'm telling you,
Are you kidding me, lady? You were playing three-dimensional chess, not checkers that Donald Trump was playing. He wasn't going to throw you off your game. Girl, no, sir. Except he did, and you were horrible and incoherent that entire campaign and lost in a landslide. So what the hell 3D chess were you playing? If that's Kamala Harris's 3D chess, then Trump was like 6D chess. I mean, you got to be kidding me. I'm concerned that she actually believes this. And let's be honest, she didn't seem even overly coherent and together in that clip. In that clip, she looked like she was desperately searching for words and grabbing the first one that came to mind. She wasn't focused. And I'm not going to judge. I've been there myself. But you can't perform like that. Which, by the way, that clip is a pretty good representation of how every unscripted conversation that she had on the campaign trail went. You don't get to perform like that for 107 days of probably the worst political campaign I've ever seen, and then make the claim that you were playing 4D chess and you were just miles ahead of the enemy who beat you in a landslide. It's patently ridiculous. But she believes this. The left legitimately believes this. Like, I don't understand how they get here. I just don't. But here they are, nevertheless. Anyway, let's move on to talking about immigration. I saw this clip. This is from the Illinois House. And one of the members of the Illinois House of Representatives makes he uses the term illegal aliens. He doesn't really, it's pretty innocuous, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. He just lets it slip, and he ends up getting scolded by the ridiculous Speaker of the Illinois House. Take a listen to this.
Do you agree with Governor Pritzker that you want federal law enforcement to work with local law enforcement to get rid of criminal illegal aliens?
Let me begin by answering that question with telling you I don't believe anyone is an illegal alien. That's a terrible term to use about anyone.
It's a legal term.
It's not a legal term. They used to call black people slaves legally, and it was wrong. Let's stop dehumanizing people. Let's start treating people right.
Do you
What performative nonsense from that complete clown. Nobody is an illegal alien. And this guy, bless his heart, this random representative, speaks up rightly and says, well, it's just a legal term, dude. Chill. And then he goes, no, it's not. Yeah, idiot, it kind of actually is. Illegal alien is a legal term referring to a non-citizen who is in a country unlawfully. It is a legal term. It is an objective legal term with a legal definition. And the people Donald Trump is deporting fit that definition. And then he plays the race card. He plays the slavery card. Black people were once called slaves in this country, legally. Yeah. Black people were once slaves in this country, legally. What's your freaking point? You can't make the argument that illegal alien is not a legitimate legal term, and your basis for that is, oh, but black people used to be called slaves, so it's dehumanizing. Those two things have nothing to do with each other. And by the way, both were legal terms that were used to describe people. It's ridiculous. It's all performative nonsense, and it's all racial politics. That's what it is. If the first thing you hear when someone says illegal aliens, the first thing that pops into your head is, oh, what about slavery? You're an idiot. And that guy's an idiot. All right, we got a great show coming up this morning. We'll be right back after a quick break. Stay tuned. You know what this song needs? More cowbell. I went to the doctor's office recently. You know, regular checkup. I had a pretty bad fever for the last couple of days. And the doctor told me, the only thing that can cure you is more cowbell. If you understand that reference, good job. You're well educated in the art of pop culture. All right, let's talk about this shutdown. We knew this was going to end eventually, right? And it seems like it's pretty much ended. I think the House is expected to vote on the Senate-passed spending bill that's going to end all of this today, and then it'll go to President Trump's desk and be signed forthwith. And then the shutdown will be over, and this will all be for nothing. So here is Scott Jennings basically predicting all of this. Just a couple of days ago, he's on CNN, as he always is, and he basically says, this is pointless. The only reason for this shutdown is Democrats are trying to fire up their base, presumably, for this weird off-year election. And now that the weird off-year election is over, the shutdown will probably be ended sooner rather than later. The man might be a prophet, because what do you know? That's exactly what happened. Take a listen to this.
How are Republicans going to use leverage in their fight with Democrats when the Democrats are actually the ones with the upper hand in the eyes of voters?
Oh, I'm sure Democrats will be more than happy to open the government now. The election's over. I mean, part of the reason they shut it down was to get through tonight.
I mean, I
would suspect they'll be glad to open it up by the end of the week.
Adam Schiff, he was like, hold the line.
AOC, there's lots of rumors of
she
people
said,
wanting to
hold the
open
line.
it.
Look, I don't see what is the incentive for Democrats to back down when voters are basically saying Trump's not doing enough, it's the Republicans' fault, and then they basically handed the keys in this past election to the Democrats. Where's the leverage?
Again, these are blue states electing Democrats, not a shock. Democrats clearly wanted this shutdown to get through Election Day. I do think they are facing pressure from their internal coalitions. The unions, the air traffic controllers, the government employee unions are desperate to get the government back open. They're feeling a little bit of internal heat. But again, the election's now over. I'm sure tomorrow morning phones will start ringing and it'll be open soon enough. This was a political shutdown, and that's what they did, and now we're through the election.
Again, everything he said has come to pass. Just a few days later, the government is open. We have a deal. This was political. It's always been political. And it was a stupid political move. I think what we'll see over the next couple of months is people are going to blame the Democrats for all of this. Here's a simple fact. There are a lot of people whose lives were made worse over the course of this historically long shutdown. Even if it was just somebody that had to get on a plane during the course of all of this, and they had to sit for hours and hours in a TSA checkout line, or their flight got delayed or canceled because of air traffic controller shortages. These people are going to realize, oh, wait a minute, it was the Democrats that did this. And they achieved nothing in this. And they didn't achieve anything. The bill that got passed by the Senate to end this was essentially the same exact thing that the Republicans passed in September. They just changed the dates on it because we're now pretty much up to the deadline of that original CR. Senators advanced a bipartisan funding package to end the government shutdown after a group of Senate Democrats broke from their colleagues and joined Republicans in their bid to reopen the government. The same 8 Democrat caucus members stuck with Republicans and provided the crucial votes needed to send the package to the House. The votes went deep into Monday night on the shutdown's 41st day and resulted in an updated continuing resolution being combined with a trio of spending bills in a minibus package that is now headed to the House. So essentially, the exact thing that the Republicans were trying to do 40-something days ago has now been done 40-something days late, and the Democrats got nothing out of it. Literally nothing. Not a single thing. So, I mean, good luck spinning this. You know this was a bad deal for the Democrats because the Democrats are calling each other out on this. Here's Graham Plattner. He's running for Senate, I believe in Maine. Yeah. And he's so livid about this. And this guy's a lefty's lefty, by the way. He is so upset that he's calling on Chuck Schumer to resign over this because it's rightly being seen as weakness from the Democrats. The Democrats basically did this whole shutdown just to prove how strong they were and get concessions out of Trump, and then surrendered after 41 days, having achieved nothing but make Americans' lives harder. And to his credit, this liberal Democrat is calling Chuck Schumer out for this performative BS.
Good morning, everyone. Graham here. Well, it's not really good morning at all. It's gray, rainy, and dreary, but more importantly, it is a bleak morning for millions of American families, because last night, some Senate Democrats caved. They caved and they voted with Republicans. And now, up to 20 million Americans are going to watch their health care premiums double, triple, and in some cases quadruple. Now we are on a path to watch 15 million Americans possibly lose access to health care insurance in the first place. This happened because Chuck Schumer failed in his job yet again, because they do not understand that when we fight, we win.
Clearly not. Clearly not. I mean, I love when Democrats try to do this tough guy attitude. When we fight, we win. No, when you fight, it's performative and you lose. Because your performative politics are stupid. They are. You shut the government down for nothing. maybe you could make the argument that you shut the government down to prop up Obamacare a little while longer. Great. You didn't achieve it. Healthcare is still expensive. It was always going to be expensive. There's no amount of government money that you can funnel into healthcare to make it magically cheap for everybody. All you're going to do is change where you pay it. Do you pay it on the front end when you actually go to buy your healthcare, or do you pay it on the back end when they tax you? That's it. That's the debate. And you shut the government down for that and didn't even get your way on it? It's ridiculous. I think the only real result of this government shutdown is all of the American people, now that it's over, are going to be able to see clear as day how much it really is the Democrats' fault. Graham Plattner said it there when he said, oh, you voted with the Republicans to end the shutdown. So you mean we have been voting to open it back up, right? So it is your shutdown. You've been calling this the GOP shutdown. We've been voting to keep it open. Now that the Democrats cave and 8 of them side with the GOP, now the government reopens. So how is it the GOP shutdown? They've tried to use this as a political weapon. It didn't work. They tried to use this as leverage. That didn't work either. They're outright admitting this. Here is Senator Angus King basically saying, yeah, this didn't work at all.
Well, Joe, you have to go back to what the strategy was at the beginning of the shutdown. There were 2 goals, both of which I support. One was standing up to Donald Trump.
So that's being performative. The goal was standing up to Trump.
The other was getting some resolution on the ACA premium tax credit issue.
Well, you didn't do that either.
The problem was the shutdown wasn't accomplishing either goals, and there was practically, well, there was 0 likelihood that it was going to.
You think he didn't know this the entire time? The shutdown had 2 goals. There he is saying it. We had goals with this shutdown. You can't have goals with something you don't control. If you have 2 goals with the shutdown, that means you did it. And he lays it out clearly. This is why we shut down the government. This is why. We wanted to do these 2 things. We didn't do either of them. And so we just decided to give it up and reopen the government. I can't make it any more clear. They're saying it out of their own mouths. Obviously. This was just performative nonsense that they did to look tough. And it didn't work. I bet you Chuck Schumer gets primaried by AOC over all of this. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more to talk about. We'll be right back. Yeah, see, this song doesn't have enough cowbell. I need to do better. I need to pick more cowbell songs. All right. Just to really drive home my point about how intentional and preventable and pointless this shutdown was. Political Polling USA. This is a kind of left-wing political data and analysis account. I loosely keep up with them. I check them every now and again. Whoever this is posted, it's genuinely amazing that Trump was being forced to shut down. Oh, good point. Was being forced to shut down a bunch of airports and flights because of funding. Who was forcing him to do that because of funding? Who was doing that? Who was forcing him to do that? It wasn't the Republicans. They voted 14, 15 times to fund all this stuff. So who was forcing him to shut all this down? And the Democrats, right before Thanksgiving, when they would have had an insane amount of leverage, went, cool, let's cave. So by saying the Democrats are caving when the government is reopened, you're admitting that the Democrat position was don't reopen the government, which is what that's the opposite of what they've been saying for months. They've been saying it's obstructionist Republicans who refuse to negotiate that are opening or closing the government. I don't think the American people care for being used as leverage. That's my guess. I could be wrong, but that's my prediction. And that's what Polling USA is basically saying. We've been using the American people as leverage. right before Thanksgiving, when all the flights would have been canceled and people wouldn't have been able to travel. The Democrats would have had all this leverage. All that leverage is you. You are that leverage. So anyway, there's that for you. Think about that. Now, let's talk a little bit about this TPUSA event. So this was supposed to be the conclusion of the tour that Charlie Kirk started at Utah Valley University. And this event was at UC Berkeley. I think the speaker was Rob Schneider and several other guys. The only guy on the lineup, there was like 4 people. The only guy I recognize is Rob Schneider, because I am a fan of comedy. But this was supposed to be the conclusion. Outside this event, the entire day or the entire evening, I should say, leading up to this event, Antifa, and I'm going to say Antifa because that's who it was out there in force being openly violent at this event. This is a video posted by Frontline TPUSA of outside of the event, near the line to get into the event. This guy was assaulted and robbed and ended up being detained by police because of this fight that broke out after this liberal Antifa guy basically tried to rob this dude, this Trump supporter. Watch this, or if you're listening, listen to this. It's insane.
Break it up! Break it up! Police! Break it up! Police! Break it up! Hey, white boy! Break it up! You're bleeding, bitch! Yep. Hey, white boy! You're bleeding, white boy! Hey, white boy! You're bleeding! Break it up! What happened? What happened, white boy? Relax. Take a deep breath. Relax.
So the police have now broken up the fight. You can hear it. They're wrestling, they're scuffling. The police are trying to tear them apart, detain them, force the crowd back. You can see an officer with a bicycle just trying to use that as like a barrier to keep the crowd away. But what did you hear in the background? This Trump supporter who happened to be white, and the person attacking him who happened to be of a vague brownish color. This Trump supporter is bleeding profusely out of his nose the entire time. And you can hear in the background another brownish in nature left-winger, clear ally of the dude scuffling with the Trump supporter is going, "Hey, white boy, what happened? You're bleeding, white boy." And you probably heard it. There's very clear malice in his voice, which is shocking and interesting. But anyway, there's more. Let's take a listen.
Relax. What happened, white boy? Hey, white boy, what the fuck happened?
Guy tried to rob me. Okay.
You guys step back, please. You guys come film, but just talk now. Hey, you got cracked up. You got cracked, motherfucker.
The officers are backing everybody up, and that's basically the conclusion. But you could hear it. "Hey, white boy, what happened? What happened to you, white boy?" I mean, that's obvious racial malice, right? Can we acknowledge that? Flip the roles. Imagine if you had some, I guess we'll say Kamala Harris supporter, get beat up by a bunch of Trump supporters. Let's say the Kamala Harris supporter is brown, the Trump supporters beating him up are white, and you've got a bunch of Trump supporters while the hypothetical assaulted Kamala Harris supporter is bleeding. And they're going, "Hey, brown boy. Hey, brown boy, you're bleeding, brown boy." Imagine the outrage. Imagine. And it would probably be justified. That's pretty racist, I think. But they do it to a white boy and it's not even mentioned. Completely ignored by the mainstream media. The only place I've seen this is Twitter. I haven't even seen this on Fox. Fox may have aired it, but I haven't seen it. The only people that I see talking about this is TPUSA on Twitter. And it's obviously racist. It's obvious anti-white racial malice. Are we allowed to point that out? Are we allowed to say that, hey, there are clearly leftists out there who hate white folks just for being white folks, which I thought was bad. I thought we weren't supposed to do racism. Apparently, it's fine when the liberals do it. The good news is that white boy was released by police. The victim was released and actually, let me scroll up so you can get some more details. The Berkeley Police Department told Fox News Digital that it witnessed two men fighting around 5 o'clock p.m. local time. Both were initially detained upon suspicion of public fighting. One of the men was wearing a red t-shirt that said freedom in a similar style to what Turning Point founder Charlie Kirk was wearing during his assassination. That man was left beaten and bloodied. Police said upon further investigation, the second man involved in the fight was attempting to rob the victim of his necklace. After speaking with the involved parties and corroborating information through open source media footage, officers determined that one of the men, Jihad Deparahaluz, literally named Jihad, which is wild. That's a wild name to have. A 25-year-old Oakland man had stolen the other man's chain from around his neck. The other man was attempting to get his chain back from Deparahaluz. I couldn't tell you to save my life how the hell you're supposed to pronounce that last name. Dephrepaulezz. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable first and last name. The victim was released and Dephrepaulezz was charged with suspicion of robbery and battery resulting in injury, according to police. So that's what we're dealing with. That's what we're dealing with. At just regular TPUSA events. You can't even go to a college campus as an open Trump supporter to hear some conservative minds speak and debate some hot issues of the day without being robbed and assaulted by some guy named Jihad. Named Jihad. What is happening in this nation? What is going on here? And of course, there's other videos circulating around the internet of just how violent and out of control this protest was. Here's a video of a smoke bomb or a flare of some sort being lit up in the middle of the crowd and freaking everybody out. And there's also, I believe in this, a car backfiring and like sounding like gunshots. Take a listen. Punch a fascist in the face. Firing up flares and smoke bombs. Here it is. That's the sound of a car backfiring. It does sound like gunshots. I have to imagine the intent of that was intimidation, maybe? Cause a panic? I don't know. They ended up having to move the barriers for the line and usher people in early, move people around. It was a very active police scene because of these radical leftists. This shouldn't be how life is in America, but it is. And it's because of one side. I'm sick of this both sidesism. It's BS. We all know who's doing this. We all know who's responsible. It's not the Republicans. Despite how much the left wants it to be the Republicans, it's not the Republicans. It's them. They're crazy. They hate you. They want you dead. Even if your only sin is being a Trump-supporting white person, you can even be fairly socially liberal because Donald Trump is. But if you're a white Trump supporter, they will openly cheer as you're robbed and assaulted. We'll be right back. All right, so keeping on this TPUSA thing. Again, I don't think enough people understand how concerning it is that this is the standard in American public life. I mean, this is the next generation, right? These are the future leaders. And this is how they do business. If we disagree, I will rob you, beat the hell out of you, and start a riot on a college campus. This is who we're set up to leave the country to. I'm freaked out about that personally. As part of the generation that's going to have to deal with all this mess, I don't see this going down a pretty direction. Just to give you an idea of how truly awful the scene outside of this event was, and for just so we're clear, as far as I understand, inside the event, things went very well. It was a great event. But outside the event, it was a disaster. Here is, I believe this is Savannah Hernandez. She's a TPUSA contributor. Here she is on the ground documenting how horrible all of this is. Take a listen.
This is Savannah Hernandez at UC Berkeley at the TPUSA Out of the Bay protest. Now, it is about 7 p.m. at this point, but this has been going on since 4:30, and my friends, it has been absolute chaos. Now, at the beginning of the night, you quickly had 2 people that were arrested. One person was a Trump supporter, another was an Antifa member, and as the Trump supporter was getting arrested, he stated that the Antifa member came and tried to steal his stuff, resulting in the altercation. Now, that happened fairly quickly at the beginning of the protest, and everything just evolved since then. Now, this is actually the entrance to the TPUSA event tonight, and the attendee line actually stretched out this way, and it kind of stretched into this area so people could get into this conference center behind me. Now, what ended up happening is this huge swarm of protesters, many of which are trans members, some of them are furries, and of course, many Antifa members and Antifa-aligned groups, they all ended up swarming those attendees. Now, one of the Antifa members actually lit off a flare, smoke started going everywhere, and then another protester drove past in his vehicle. It started backfiring multiple times. It kind of sounded like gunshots. I could see the visible fear in many of the attendees' eyes, and they all started swarming into this area. Now, please quickly let them pass these barriers to, essentially protect them and help with their safety, because the mob then quickly started descending on these barriers. Now, they have multiple times tried to break this area down and break these barriers down, and they have been chanting all night, calling attendees of this event fascists, Nazis, anti-Semites. They've been calling them every single name in the book, while simultaneously saying that Nazis need to be killed. Now, they have also been mocking the death of Charlie Kirk, and I have seen several signs tonight glorifying and celebrating Charlie's death. So that is the protest in attendance tonight. Those are the people inside. You even had people chanting, F your homie is dead, referring to Charlie Kirk. So that's an idea of how chaotic it has been out here at UC Davis. The next challenge is going to be how attendees now leave this event, as this entrance is completely blocked with very aggressive protesters.
Now, she said UC Davis there. I've been hearing a bunch of people saying it's UC Berkeley. I don't know which one it was. It was in California. But, I mean, you can see in that video, if you're listening right now, go watch. Just to get the visuals. And this video is also up on Twitter if you want to go find it there. While you're there, give me a follow at _Ethan Buchanan. But you can see how violent it is. And I played you the video of the guy getting assaulted. And you can hear the people cheering, oh, F you, F Charlie Kirk, etc., etc. All the things Savannah Hernandez described. You can see it all in the video. It's not peaceful. They're literally tearing apart the police barrier, jumping across it, wrestling with the cops, and then getting arrested. Cops having to push people back. It wasn't peaceful by any means. And if you watched it, if you saw it, I mean, you could tell just by listening, but if you saw it, that's obvious. Now, here's how Politico described it. The University of California, Berkeley added to its long history as a hotbed of free speech and liberal activism on Monday, when Turning Point USA, the conservative student movement started by Charlie Kirk, ended its national tour with an event on the campus a few months after the assassination of the influential right-wing figure. That's all they were doing, guys. They were upholding Berkeley's reputation as being a hotbed of free speech and liberal activism. It's just liberal activism. That's all that is. The night of speeches and Q&A, which drew 900 attendees and at least 150 angry but largely peaceful protesters. Angry but largely peaceful. You guys remember during the Kenosha riots, the George Floyd riots, when CNN said that the protests were fiery but mostly peaceful? That's what this is. Angry but mostly peaceful. You heard it. You saw it. I played it for you. That's not mostly peaceful. That's mostly not peaceful, frankly. That's the exact opposite of mostly peaceful. That's mostly unpeaceful. There was just enough peacefulness dotted in to keep somebody from getting killed. But when you have multiple arrests, when you have some guy getting pretty clearly racially assaulted, and then you've got political going, oh, this is mostly peaceful. No, it's not. And you know it's not. The fact that Politico is so willing to run cover for this is baffling. You know who's not running cover for this, though, is Pam Bondi, who I don't like. She should be fired. But she's at least saying the right things here. Antifa is an existential threat to our nation. The violent riots at UC Berkeley last night are under full investigation by the FBI-led Joint Terrorism Task Force. We will continue to spare no expense unmasking all who commit and orchestrate acts of political violence. And she's right. It is an existential threat. Because again, like I pointed out, these are the people we're leaving our country to. You think we can leave a country to people like that and it survive? The answer is no. Just plain and simple. The answer is no. If those are the people that are given the governing reins of the United States of America in the next 10, 15, 20 years, this country will be gone as we know it in the next 50. I guarantee you, mark my words, bookmark this. I hope those people never gain power. I hope we're able to keep them out. I hope we're able to crush their spirits completely, politically. But if that movement does survive this, and those people become the people leading this nation, it will be destroyed. I pinky promise. So it is a threat. It is. And people will still go out here and say things like this. Antifa is not an organization. Antifa is not a group of organizations. Antifa is not even a network of informal cells. Antifa is all of those things. All of those things. And it's amazing that they're trying to memory hold this. I remember, again, back in 2020, I used to be able to Google city by city and find the Instagram accounts for the local Antifa chapters. Do you honestly believe that all of those people showed up there in the riot gear they were wearing with their poppy cars and their bullhorns and their flares? You think all of those people showed up completely naturally? This was all organic? No, it wasn't. And if you truly believe that, which nobody does, but if you truly do, then you're just an idiot. All right, that is all I've got for you. I want to encourage you. Listen to the Sunday show, 7 p.m. AM 950 KPRC. You can listen anywhere in the Houston area or on the free iHeartRadio app. Just Google AM 950 KPRC. It's a live broadcast show every single Sunday night. It's a great show. We have a good time. You should definitely be listening if you're not. And of course, give me a follow on X @_Ethan Buchanan. And lastly, if you want to support this show, if you own a business, you want to advertise with us, bring your message to my listeners, get my listeners to shop at your business, reach out to me. Let me know. I'm on X. You can shoot me a DM. I'm on Instagram @_ the.Ethan Buchanan. Reach out to me. Let's see if I can help you out here.